Hello everybody, welcome to Filmmaking Today. Bowie and Dulabic here. So, would you like to be able to edit your photos in just a few minutes and get awesome results? Stay tuned. So in this video we're going to review Luminar 4, which is a photo editing software by Skylum. Just a disclaimer, Skylum did send me this product for free. However, they have no input on this video. They're not reviewing it before it's being published or anything like that. So all the opinions are my own. So, let's get started with the interface. This is what Luminar 4 looks like. So we'll start up with the menu up here. It's a pretty standard menu. Under File, you've got all these options here. This is where you can define a new catalog. So this is where all your data and everything is saved. So you can move your catalog to a different folder, different drive, all that good stuff. This is where you add either folders or single images to Luminar so you can work on them. And then you've got all these things here. Now this install plugins, that's a important one. Just like in the past with Luminar 4, you also have the option of running the application as a plugin for Photoshop, for Lightroom Classic, or Photoshop Elements. So you can run it as a standalone app, the way I am doing right here, or you can run it as a plugin, and I'll show you how that looks like in just a second. So let's continue with the menu. You've got under Edit, you've got these options, Library, you've got these options, Image, you've got your standard set ratings, label, all that good stuff, rotate, flip, all this stuff here. And then under View, you've got all these options here. You can also change the background color, so you can go from dark to dark gray and all of this here, so that's cool. And there you go, there's that. And then under Help, you've got all this. So let's look at all these options here. So plus, that's obviously if you want to add an image, and as mentioned, you can add a folder or you can add a single image and work on it. Under Looks, if you press that, you get these looks here. They're basically presets. So if you've never used Luminar before, these are basically presets that you can further tweak, and you can also save your own presets here. So if you have an image, you've worked on it, and then you can save that as a preset, and you can use that preset on various other images. Here you have various categories as well. You've got the Essentials category, Street, Landscape, Portrait, all that stuff, and then this here is whatever you save. And you can get more. There are paid looks that you can buy on Skylum's website. So that's that. Here you can rate the image, you can set different colors to label it and all that stuff. Now here, this is your just your zoom option. This is the before and after, so this will show you the original state. This is the original state, so there's nothing to show. But if you've tweaked the image and you just want to see what it looks like, what it looked like originally, you can just press this button, toggle it on and off, and this will give you a before and after slider. Again, right now you can't tell, but I'll show you later on. Here you have a crop option, so your standard crop, or you can rotate the image here as well. And then here, this is to export the image. And then here, if you have multiple images, they would show up here. And then if you press this button, you can just view them differently, or you can view one at a time in full screen. So that's that. And then this is, this is sort of your main three categories. Here under Library, you can see all the images you've imported. So right now I don't have anything, but this is where your library would be. Here you have Edit, and we're going to focus more on this later on. But this is basically all your main categories if you want to edit an image. And under Info, it will show you all the metadata from the image. So this image here, as you can see, it was shot on my Osmo Pocket. This is these are the settings and all that stuff, resolution and all that good stuff. So that's your basic interface. Okay, so now let's actually edit a photo. We're now in Photoshop, and I'm going to open up a photo, and I'm going to take you through the whole editing process, and I'm going to use Luminar as a plugin within Photoshop now. That's how I usually use it. So let's open up a photo. And this is the photo here we're gonna use. This is the raw photo that I took with my Osmo camera. So here we are in the camera raw interface. The only thing I'm gonna do here is just hit the auto button, and it's just gonna slightly tweak the image. Doesn't really do too much, but in some cases it does flatten the image. So if you have harsh shadows, or if it's slightly overexposed, underexposed, and that kind of stuff, it sort of evens it out, and that does help in Luminar. And then we're just going to hit shift and hit this button here. That way it opens up the image as a smart object already. If you just open it up normally, then you just have to right click here and go convert to smart object. And that's important in order to open up Luminar as a plugin. So once that's done, I'm just going to go up here to filter, and under Skylum software, I have all of these things. You're just going to have, well, depending on what you have, you might only have Luminar 4. So you just basically hit that. Okay, so here we are again in Luminar 4. This is now the version, the plugin version. It looks basically the same. The only difference is you have these two buttons, apply and cancel. So once we're done with all the tweaks, I'm going to hit the apply button, and then that will get us back to Photoshop. So let us first, I'm going to close the looks here just so we can maximize the screen. And now we are in the editing panel or category. And I'm going to basically go through all of these, tweak the image, and show you what's what. So if you look at on the side here, you've got these categories. So if we start at the top, these will be the layers. So this is the one layer, and then you can add more layers. So you can add adjustment layer, you can add an actual image layer or stamped layer. And then down here, this is the canvas. So here you have these tools here. And also if you need to make changes to the actual lens, if it's distorted or anything like that, these are your options right here. And then these ones down here, this is your editing categories. And Skylum did make quite a few changes just in the visuals from version 3 to version 4. It's actually much easier now to kind of decipher what's where. We'll go through all of these categories, and then you have down here, you have history, and then here you can show or don't show the histogram and reset the adjustments. So let's get started. First, we've got light here. So these are your typical settings, curve settings. So again, this, if you are familiar with photo editing, this should not be a surprise to you. So here you can adjust all of this stuff, and maybe let's just make some quick adjustments here. Okay. All right, and let's see if we... let me see. Yeah, let's kind of do that. Okay, and let's move on to the next one. So here you have your two typical settings for Skylum, which is their AI accent and AI sky enhancer. So accent will sort of bring up, if you have a lot of shadows, it'll bring that up, and yeah, just make the image a lot more pop, just make it more interesting. If we had sky up here, this one would bring that up. Right now there's really not much, or there's no sky at all. This was a very foggy day, so this slider doesn't do much. And then with all of these settings, you do have the option of creating a mask. So if you wanted any of these settings to affect just various portions of the image, you could mask that out. So that's that. Here, I think I'm gonna... so this one basically sharpens the image, or softens it, depending on which way you go. So let's just kind of leave that. Color, you have your basic saturation and vibrance, and then under advanced options you can affect just specific colors. So let's say it's popping pretty nicely, but well, let's say the red one, increase that a bit more. And then here you can convert it to black and white. Detail enhancer, so well, like it says, you can enhance details and you can choose between these ones. You can sharpen it, and then there's more options down here. Denoise, obviously, as the name says, it will get rid of a lot of the noise. If you go overboard, so let's crank this up, depending on the image, it might just be too much, and it just look too soft. So I like to, usually I like to keep it around 20 to 30, just again depending on the image. And then you can boost it as well down here. Landscape enhancer, so your typical settings. So a foliage enhancer is nice because it will only focus on the colors of well, the foliage, the leaves and all that stuff, so it will enhance those colors. If we went overboard, you can see the difference here. So it's really just affecting all the green and the various leaves and all that stuff. So let's leave that. Vignette, obviously vignette, no surprise there. You've got these options. Now the real kicker here, so this is now under essentials. If we move to the next category, which is the creative one, and here you have some really cool things, and this is specific to the version 4. So AI sky replacement. As you can see here, it's pretty miserable up here. There's no sky, and yeah, so what can we do? Well, if we go under sky replacement and we select any of these options, let's say Blue Sky 6, and then if you wait a little bit, bow, here we go. Look at that. Now it's not perfect, obviously, and there's things to tweak here, but look how easy that was to get a sky. I'm loving that. So do we want that? No, that's definitely not fitting. So we need something that does fit. Let's go into bright sky. Let's see what that does. Okay, so I don't know. I don't think that fits either. What about dramatic sky? What does that do? Okay, that's fitting more. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but as I changed to, let's say, this one, the dramatic sky, it didn't just replace the sky. It did change the overall the visuals of the image, so the colors, just to make it fit more with the sky. Now you can change things. So if we go under horizon blending, and if we tweak that, and then if we go to the position here, as you can see, this actually moves the sky in the background, so you can position it. You're not stuck with just this position. And then under advanced setting, sky local is interesting. If we had problems masking this out, sky global will help there. So if I'm just gonna go all the way just so you can see the difference. So I don't know if you noticed, but in this case it's not needed, but it definitely changed things around here. So if we go back, yeah, so again, in this case we don't need to use it, but I have, when I was testing out different images, for the most part this sky replacement feature works just nicely, but there are some times when it doesn't mask it out completely, and then you're gonna have to play around with these settings. So, you know, let's just do a before and after. So let's toggle this. So this is the after, that's the before. As you can see, that's a pretty big difference, man. It's nice. And then here's if we use the slider, so just right there, I mean, we've only spent a few minutes, and on top of that I'm talking, so really this would have taken me 2 minutes maybe to do. So, you know, you can see the value in just this one feature. Now under sky ray you can actually place a sun. So if you go place, and then let's say the sun would be coming out probably somewhere around here, and then we hit done, and then let's adjust the amount. So let's crank it up just to make a point. So as you can see, if you needed the sun to come through, obviously don't go overboard in this, and it's very easy to go overboard. Under advanced settings you have more options. So, you know, if you need the sun to come through, this is how you would do that. And we can toggle on and off individual categories as well. So over here, if you want to turn it off, again, just to see what it looks like, And again, it makes a huge difference. So that's the sunray one. And then you have dramatic, which will, this will desaturate colors more and make it look, well, dramatic, like the name says. So you could do something like that. We've got matte look here. If you want to make it look more faded, no, that kind of defeats the purpose. Mystical is interesting, so it will give it that silky, mystical kind of a vibe, which is, it's not bad, but you have to use this one sparingly. And then again, advanced settings, you can saturate or desaturate that one. And my advice is always just play around with the settings and just turn it on and off just to see what you actually did. So this is actually pretty cool, especially up in the clouds here. I like the silky out of focus look. And then here are LUTs. So LUTs or lookup tables are again presets that you can apply to give it a certain look. So you have a lot to choose from here, or you can include your own if you have them, or you can download new ones. And if we just go through them, you'll see how the image slightly changes. This is actually pretty cool. I like this one. So anyway, you can go through all of them. I'm going to stick with the Long Beach one. I like that. And again, if we toggle on and off, yeah, that's cool. I like this. And then you can overlay texture. You can give it a glow. You can have some film grain, or if you want to add some fog, depending on how extreme you want to go, right? This again has to be used sparingly. So that's this category, which is the creative one. Now, if you do portrait photography, there are a lot of interesting features right here, and I will get back to this one in just a few minutes, so stay tuned. But for now, we're just going to keep moving to the next section. And then the last one is professional, which just gives you a lot more options. So advanced contrast, adjustable gradient, if you want to affect just the top or the bottom, which is cool. You've got this, you've got this guy here, photo filter, and split toning. So again, if you do photography, none of this should be a surprise. So that's it. Again, let's go back before, after. Pretty significant difference, right? Now, if you wanted to save this as a look, you would just go here and then type the name here and save it. Now, I've already done that before, so let's go to the user looks, and I've already saved a version before. It looks similar to this one, but let's just use that. So you just basically click on it. So here's the version that I saved. Now, what I do want to do is get rid of the fog. Yeah, I got that turned on. Maybe slightly, let's see. Yeah, we'll use it just a little bit. And that's it. So again, we go original, saved. Huge difference. I mean, huge difference. And if we want to now go back to Photoshop, so let's say we're done here, you just hit apply. And here we are back in Photoshop. And as you can see, the effect has been applied to it. This is the smart filter that was created, and here's Luminar, and we could toggle this off. So if we push this one, boom, there's the original one. And if we press it again, there is this image. Now, because this is a smart filter, we could also paint in just certain areas. So if we hit Control-I and reverse the layer, and then hit the brush button, and then let's say we just wanted to affect the upper portion here. So let's say we just wanted to affect this portion up here, or maybe you just wanted to paint in the sky, whatever the case is, you could just do that. Or maybe you want to use Luminar again, but just on the lake here, or or the pond, whatever it is. You have a lot of options, right? So I mean, this looks interesting as well, right? If we toggle it on and off, you've got that. Or if you want to just apply it to the whole image. So now let's talk about the portrait photography features. First of all, as you can see in this photo, the skin is definitely a bit damaged, as you can see right here. So let's take a look at Luminar 4 and see what we can do to fix that. So we'll start with AI Skin Enhancer, and we're going to check this box here. And then let's just move the slider about halfway and see what happens. So if we go before and after, boom, look at that. That's a pretty big enhancement right there. Now, I did notice that it did affect the rest of the image, so let's quickly mask that out. So if we go Edit Mask and we go Brush, and then under Opacity, let's use 100%. Softness, yeah, that's fine. Let's go somewhere around 65. And then if you click this one right here, it will give you an actual, as you start painting, it'll give you an actual outline so you know where you're painting. So let's just do a rough mask here because I only want the face to be affected and nothing else. So yeah, let's do that. That should be fine. Okay, and that's fine. Once we're done, we're just going to turn that off. And then you go done. And now if we toggle this on and off, you see it only affects the face, and you can already see there's definitely a difference there. So let's crank this up a bit more and see what we get. Okay, so now let's turn it off. Yeah, wow, look at the difference. Here, if we go here, right, you see the before and after. Man, that's a huge difference. Wow, right there. Now, I could have done all this in Photoshop, but it would have taken me, well, it would have taken me a lot longer than basically moving a slider and painting a quick mask. So, I mean, that's the power of Luminar 4 when it comes to portrait photography, for sure. So if we keep moving, there are a few other categories here. Under Portrait Enhancer, these are the features that you have, which is pretty cool. So you have, for example, Face Light. If you want to brighten up the face a little bit, this will do it. If you want to play around with eye whitening, red eye removal, all that stuff. Slim Face is interesting. So if we apply that a little bit, it will basically, like the name says, slim the face a little bit, which is, you know, interesting, and you might be using that in portrait photography. Lip saturation. So if you just want to affect the lips, let's see what happens here. Yeah, I think I can see a difference. So if we go before, yeah, so you can definitely see it's a slight difference, but I mean, you know, before and after, look at this, man. That's a huge difference, and that only took us a few minutes, right? So here's the before and after. Look at that. That is a pretty big difference, and that's the power of Luminar 4 when it comes to portrait photography and all that good stuff. And then you have other features here as well. High key will basically brighten up the highlights, and if you want to have a stylized look, this will definitely help you. And you've got all kinds of settings here. This effect right here will, depending on which one you select, will do different things, obviously. It's very interesting. If we go back to full fit screen, and again, look at this, boom. So all kinds of interesting features which you get in Luminar 4 that will help you with portrait photography. So guys, that's Luminar 4. As you can see, it is a pretty powerful software. I've been using Luminar 3 for it's been a few months for sure. You can see my review on Luminar 3. It'll be in the description and it'll pop up here. So there's definitely been improvements with Luminar 4. Now let's talk about upgrading. So if you have Luminar 3, should you upgrade? Well, it depends. If you are doing landscape photography, and if you're doing portrait photography, yeah, absolutely. I think sky replacement for landscape photography and all the features that you saw for portrait photography definitely make it worth. So yeah, there's no doubt about that. If you are doing product photography, well, I think you can stick with Luminar 3. I don't think there's that much for you there. So if that's all you do, I guess you could stick with Luminar 3 in that case, but everyone else, yeah, I think it's definitely a worthy upgrade for sure. Now let's talk about something that it's still missing, and I hope they will incorporate this at some point, and that is a pen tool. So for example, when I create my masks in Luminar, and the way I showed you, I mean, it's a pretty simple process. It's the same as in Photoshop or probably every other photo editing software. Sometimes I want to be very detailed, you know, I need to mask out a certain object, whatever it is, and the pen tool just works the best for that in my experience, right? So we still don't have the pen tool when it comes to that, and there's a few other tools that you know, Photoshop has that I do wish Luminar would carry over, right? And you know, again, maybe at some point they will. I can ignore some of the other ones, right? That's why I use Photoshop, because you know, I can tweak it there if I need to. But having a pen tool, definitely something that I would love to have. So I'm going to recommend that to them as well, and let's see, hopefully they'll incorporate that going forward. Aside from that, I mean, you saw the software. I will definitely continue to use this for what I do here, for my product photography, for this channel, and just you know, other stuff, landscape. I mean, for sure, I love the sky replacement feature. There's no doubt about that. It just, you know, it speeds up your workflow. I've mentioned this in my Luminar 3 outro basically, and our final thoughts, and it's the same here. What I love about this application is that it speeds up my workflow. You know, if I'm doing touch-ups on face touch-ups, as you saw, if you have, you know, damaged skins or pimples or anything like that, it's easy to get rid of in Photoshop, but it's not one slider. You know what I mean? It's a lot more work involved to clean that up. Luminar 4, much easier to do, right? So that's that. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, all that good stuff. If you are interested in getting Luminar 4, I do have a promo link in the description. It will get you a discount, so please click on it, use it. And also you can use my promo code dulabicstudio for all the other products. It should give you a discount as well, so check all that out. And that's it, guys. Stay tuned for more. Tell your friends. Hit that bell icon to be notified of future videos. Subscribe to this channel. All that good stuff. Stay tuned for more. Thanks.